Hi everyone, welcome to the Carnival of Colors color art event. I'm going to do a resin piece with you today, and I'm sorry about my upside down epoxy. I'm going to be using Promise Epoxy art resin today, and I do have all kinds of links in the description box, including discounts for this resin and for color art. Now I had to speed this up a lot, so what you see me putting down is kind of a flood coat of resin, but I used Color Passion Base Cell White in my flood coat. So Color Passion, all of my non-color art stuff from today came from artistilldeath.com. So Color Passion, their base cell, that is an indigo color from Color Passion. The base cell helps promote cells when you either use their top cell white or a different pigment. So this is the indigo color we're going to be using today. This is also Color Passion. I'm also going to be using some different brands on purpose. So I'm using that is a dark turquoise right there from Just Resin. And I'm also using Breakfast at Tiffany's. So this is the dark turquoise. It's a little bit transparent, so that's kind of good. But it's very deep, so I'm using just a little bit. So when you're using like a resin paste, you only need a little bit. If you use too much, it would just be overkill. Next up is Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is a nice Tiffany green. Very similar to like Color Passion's spearmint color with a tinge more blue. And then I'm going to use the top cell white to help promote cells. I also have great results with using Just Resin's titanium white. I think the kicker is not using all the same brand, right? You want to use a little bit of a mixture. All right, so let's use some Purely pigments. We're going to start off with Black Plum, which is kind of like a dioxazine violet. And if you're new to color art, Purely pigments are from color art, and they work great in acrylic. They work very well in resin, so we're only using 2 drops. They're very, very saturated. So don't forget to check out the description box. There's great discounts. There's one for color art. There's lots of stuff in there, so don't forget to check that out. So we've got 2 drops, and now we're going to modify the color a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of interference green and a tinge of sparkle violet. So, excuse me, sparkle violet is basically interference violet that has a little bit of a larger particulate. So, but you can see how you can kind of make your own color shifting color. Lots of fun. Obviously, this one's kind of a bold statement because we're using very different colors, but purple and green work very nicely together. So my thought was it would be a great combo, and it turns out to be a very cool, like smoky, color shifty color. And then we're going to have a similar adventure with the Azure blue, which is kind of like a phthalo blue. So check this color out, you guys. And as we're going through the video, make sure that you're listening for the secret word. I will be giving it throughout the video. Look at that. Because the goal between Saturday and Sunday event is you want to piece together all of the secret words from everyone's channel and submit them to the color art website so that you can potentially win a grand prize. Here's our violet sparkle. And this is just going to be really, really subtle. All it's going to do is add a little bit of violet back into this color with a nice kind of chunkier particulate. So when you see the larger sparkle, that will be violet. And because this is an interference color, all of that is very subtle. But just so much fun. It's very fun to play around with your different interference colors when you're making your own colors. So really like the way this turns out. At first I was like, I don't know, this is kind of a strange color. But you can see in a minute it really works out. So this is the Azure blue, which as I mentioned is kind of a phthalo blue. So as I was saying about the event, each artist will have a channel prize as well. So make sure if you're not subscribed that you subscribe and leave a comment and like, because each of us will draw a prize from our channel And then Leslie will draw the grand prize winner. And of course, thank you, Leslie, for being so generous to give so many wonderful prizes to our viewers. And I believe that the prize is 3 purely pigments of your choice, which is fantastic because they're so amazing. They're kind of a game changer. You can customize colors, you can change. They're just awesome. So this is Rain. So Rain is like an interference color, but it's kind of set in a gray opal base. So it's got a little bit more depth to it. So we're just going to put a little bit of that Rain color in this Azure blue. And then I kind of checked it to see, you know, how do I like that? And then I decided this is a step in the right direction, but I'm going to add a smidge of interference green. And now I thought about adding a different interference color like blue or violet, but because I have the green in that black plum, it seems like it just kind of helps pull those two together for me. And it's a nice, almost like a turquoise color because we added that green. It's kind of similar to cerulean blue. Cerulean blue is a little bit more vibrant. So now we're going to do a standalone. We're going to do interference violet with green sparkle. So, and we're just using this as kind of an added interference color. And my thought was if we had any negative space, and I wasn't sure if we would because I had no plan at this point, that having the interference there as a buffer would be nice. So now we're going to put down the indigo, and you'll see that I have, you know, virtually no plan, and you can tell because I'm like, what do I do now? So yeah, join me on the rest of this journey. All right, so we've got the indigo, we've got the interference color down, and now I'm trying to figure out the composition. So we're going to lay down Breakfast at Tiffany's and that custom blue. The purple, which is obviously a pretty bold choice, so we're probably going to mute it just a little with some of our dark turquoise. Woo! Yeah, we kind of made our own little color, shifty color. So dark turquoise. My thought is that we could maybe swipe, I don't know actually what my thought is because I think I'll include more of this blue color. Well, before I do that, let me put some more interference around the outside because who knows what's going to happen. And in the middle. And then I think I'll put more of this blue color, a little bit more of the Breakfast at Tiffany's. And then my thought, I think, is we can either try to do a spin swipe, which I just don't think that you can keep the connection long enough to do that with the paper, or kind of take paper and swipe like maybe from this center out and then the other side. I don't know. I obviously should have thought it through before I put it all down there, right? All right, my secret word is creating. Creating. And now we're putting some more Breakfast at Tiffany's down, and we will top that with our top cell white. And then, you know, the composition is a gamble because I came in with no plan. But the fun thing is that Breakfast at Tiffany's and the top cell white should give us some nice contrast and nice cell coverage near the top. So I'm going to use my swiping paper from Artist Till Death, and we'll continue our journey and see what we can make of this. All right, I had to speed this up a smidge. So I'm putting kind of a line of the white in the center there so we can swipe from there. Unfortunately, I don't have a great plan for composition, so we'll learn as I go. I mean, look at the mess I just made. But the colors are fabulous, so we'll work on it together here. So this one, I don't know if we should pull the other way or, well, maybe we should. Weight of the paper. I don't know how this is going to go. All right, we're going to torch it so we can see what kind of cells come through, and then we're going to tilt it a little bit to see what we can get out of the composition. Now, obviously, we have some crazy negative space issues. So my thought was I'll tilt it, get some movement out of it, open it up so I can see the cells, and hopefully minimize some of the chaos that's in the negative space so that I can, you know, maybe run some swiping paper through it or do something to make it look less like a kid just put all their fingers in the resin. And I think I did an okay job considering how difficult it is to control resin. So I did have to voice over this part because it was just so long, and with so many artists, I just feel terrible if my video is too long. So sorry that you can't hear my thought process, which I think is important when you're dealing with resin. But I can kind of tell you that this is why I went this direction. So you can see I'm just tilting just enough to open up the right places and minimize the wacky ones. And now my thought that I had was take some more top cell white and some of my interference color and maybe swipe over these areas where we have some of the funkiness. And at first, this part that's on the bottom of your screen that's kind of blue by itself, at first I wanted to entirely swipe over that. And then when I swiped over it, I really sort of started to like it. So yeah, it's just some of this, like when you're dealing with resin, you have to be okay with some imperfection because resin is going to do what it wants to. You're just sort of along for the party and you do your best to participate, but you know, it's going to do its thing. So anyway, all of my gesturing is kind of telling you what I was thinking, but that's kind of moot because I'm voicing over. But so I'm still using the swiping paper. So the first time I actually put the interference and the white down and I swiped over it. Oh no, I didn't. That's not true. So I'm kind of treating this like a palette knife swipe, which is really risky because this paper is very thin. So I'm basically just putting it down, the interference and then the top cell white on top. But I actually should have done the top cell white down first and the interference because of the reverse order that you're swiping. It still worked and it turned out kind of cool. And it's hard for you to probably see the lacing and stuff that I got out of it, but it kind of muted that randomness and I got some cool effects from it. And at first that kind of pointy bird nose looking part, I didn't like that much, but then I started to like it, so I left it there. Sometimes you just have to stare at something long enough to not, obsess over it. So here I'm taking the very little bit of white that I had left and covering up that part that was in your top left. And now I kind of want to deal with the sparse randomness that's on this left side, your left. So I ultimately had to just be okay with that not being what I was looking for, because the more I messed with it, the more chance I had of totally destroying it. So here's a close-up for you. While I was tweaking it, my husband called, so I did do some of this off camera, but I ended up just kind of continuing to swipe it until I liked it. But look at the cells. That's amazing. There's that top part. You can see where I kind of got some cool looking cells in the negative space, but the color combo is amazing. That custom purple turned out to be like the smoky purple color. Really, really beautiful. So yeah, for not having a plan, I think it turned out great. You have to let me know what you think. But thank you so much for joining. If you're new, I'm so happy to have you join my channel. Let's head on over to Sheldon's channel next.